Ladies and gentlemen, what do you do when the man who disappeared, who left you questioning yourself, suddenly comes back like nothing happened? Do you welcome him with open arms, or do you make him prove that he deserves a place in your life again? Because in that moment, your response determines everything, not just whether he stays, but whether you stand in your power or slip back into the same cycle that broke you before. And when a man disappears, goes silent, and then suddenly comes back, it stirs up a storm of emotions inside you. One part of you feels relief that he's finally resurfaced. Another part feels anger, confusion, and maybe even guilt for still caring. And yet, in that exact moment, your response is everything. Because how you respond determines whether you step into your power or fall back into an old cycle that leaves you feeling unworthy and undervalued. And the first thing to understand is that silence is not neutral. It's an action. When someone goes silent, they've communicated something, whether intentionally or not. They've told you where you sit on their priority list. They've revealed their level of consistency, and they've shown how they handle connection. So when he reappears, it's not about what you say to him. It's about what you've already learned about him. If his silence showed you that he wasn't ready for the depth you bring, then his return isn't an invitation to celebrate. It's a test of how much you value yourself. And so often, the instinct is to respond emotionally, to jump at the chance to reconnect because your heart missed him. But remember this, the quickest way to lose respect is to reward inconsistency with immediate acceptance. If someone can vanish and come back without consequences, they learn they can play with your time and emotions without risk. That is not the standard you want to set for your life. The right response begins not with him, but with you. Ask yourself, what do I deserve? What kind of energy do I want from someone who wants me in their life? Your answer to those questions is the script for how you respond. And when he sends that "Hey stranger" text or slides back into your life with casual words, do not mirror his casual energy if it's not what you want. A man's lazy approach should not be met with your enthusiastic acceptance. Instead, respond in a way that reflects your standards. Short, polite, but not invested. Something like, "Hey, hope you're well." You're not being rude, you're being neutral. Why? Because his actions have already spoken louder than words. Your role is not to make him feel comfortable after disappearing. Your role is to see if he's willing to put in effort to earn his way back into your world. And here's the secret. A man values what he has to work for. If he comes back and you give him instant forgiveness, no boundaries, no reflection of the silence he created, then he hasn't earned you. But if he comes back and you stand tall, measured, and a little distant, you force him to prove himself. You're not shutting the door, but you're also not swinging it wide open. You're leaving it slightly ajar and making him walk through with intention, not convenience. And now this doesn't mean you play games or respond with bitterness. It's not about punishing him. It's about protecting you. Anger or sarcasm might feel satisfying in the moment, but it doesn't serve you in the long run. The most powerful position is calm detachment. You don't need to tell him how much he hurt you right away. You don't need to unleash every thought and frustration the moment he shows up. That conversation can come later if he earns the right to hear it. But in the beginning, less is more. He needs to feel the weight of your absence, not the comfort of your presence. Let's talk about your mindset in this moment. Too many women fall into the trap of thinking his return validates them, as if his silence meant rejection. But his comeback means you've finally been chosen. That's not the truth. His return doesn't prove your worth. It only proves he noticed your value after a delay, but your worth never left. It's been there all along. The key is not whether he finally sees it. It's whether you never forgot it. And imagine this. You're a prize, a rare diamond. When someone puts you down and walks away and then later comes back, it doesn't increase your value. The diamond is the same diamond. What changes is whether the person is truly ready to handle it. If he puts it in his pocket and forgets about it again, that's not your loss, that's his. You must respond like a woman who knows her value, whether he's in the picture or not. And so when he comes back, pause before you respond. Don't let emotion take the wheel. Breathe. Ask yourself, does this align with the love I want? Is this the consistency I need? And if he's not showing that yet, then let your response reflect the high bar you set for your life. If he sends one word, you don't need to send a novel. If he comes back with vague interest, you don't need to meet it with overflowing attention. He disappeared. Let him earn his way back with clarity, effort, and persistence. And here's the truth many don't want to face. Sometimes when a man comes back, it's not because he realized you're the one. Sometimes it's because he got bored or lonely or things didn't work out somewhere else. Your job is to filter his intentions, not to feed his ego. By not rushing to welcome him, you force him to reveal whether he's serious or just passing through. And a man who truly respects you will show consistency, not just interest. He won't just say, I missed you. He'll prove it with action. He won't just pop up. He'll stick around. Your measured response creates the space to see if he's capable of that. If he's not, he'll fade again. But if he is, he'll rise to meet your standard. Either way, you win because you didn't compromise your value. And you must also remember this. Silence is a form of communication, but so is your response. If he sees that you accept crumbs, he'll keep giving crumbs. But if he sees that you only respond to consistent energy, he'll learn to step up or step out. And either outcome protects your heart. And think of it this way. Every time he goes silent, he creates distance. And when he comes back, your job is not to erase that distance for him. It's his job to bridge it. Your role is simply to decide whether you're open to watching him try. That is strength. That is power. And when you respond from a place of self-worth, you shift the dynamic completely. You're no longer the woman waiting for his attention. You're the woman evaluating if he's worthy of yours. And that subtle shift changes everything. Because suddenly it's not about does he want me back? It's about do I want him back? And when you live with that mindset, you'll never again fear his silence, his return, or his absence. Because you'll know that the greatest voice in your life is not his, it's yours. And this is where so many people get caught. They confuse attention with intention. Just because he reached out after being silent doesn't mean his motives are aligned with the kind of love you want. A man can reach out of curiosity, out of boredom, out of nostalgia, or even out of a bruised ego. But intention is proven only by what follows, not by the first message he sends. Your responsibility is to give him the space to show you what he really means. That means not rushing, not filling in the gaps with your hopes, and not assuming his return automatically equals a serious commitment. And think about it like this. If someone walked out of a store without paying for an item and then days later came back to pick it up, would you hand it to them for free? Of course not. You would expect them to prove they're serious about buying it this time, about valuing it enough to commit. The same principle applies here. When he comes back, your response should hold him accountable to the standard you know you deserve. You're not rude, you're not defensive, you're simply clear that your time and your energy are not free to those who don't handle them with care. And this is not about being cold or distant to prove a point. It's about showing yourself that you are no longer available for anything less than consistency. It's easy to slide back into old patterns when he reappears, to forget the nights you felt confused, the mornings you woke up wondering why he didn't text, the days you doubted your worth because of his silence. But those moments matter. They taught you something. And if you ignore those lessons just because he's back, you betray yourself. Your response should come from the wisdom those quiet moments gave you. And here's a powerful truth. The silence was a gift. It showed you what life feels like without his presence. And in that space, you learned that you can survive, even thrive without his attention. That's leverage. That's your power. When he comes back, you're no longer the woman waiting for him. You're the woman who knows she doesn't need him. That knowledge changes how you respond. Instead of clinging, you evaluate. Instead of chasing, you observe. Instead of proving yourself, you allow him to prove himself. And now many women fear that if they don't rush to embrace him, they'll lose him again. But ask yourself, is that really a loss? If someone leaves simply because you didn't make it easy for them to stroll back into your life, then they were never serious about being there in the first place. That's not a loss, that's a blessing, because it clears the space for someone who doesn't just return after silence, but never goes silent to begin with. Someone who shows up consistently, values you consistently, and loves you consistently. And so what does responding with power actually look like? It means keeping your messages short and measured until his actions show real effort. It means declining last-minute invitations if they don't respect your time. It means not rearranging your life just because he suddenly decided to remember you exist. It means showing through your choices that you are not waiting on him, you are living your life, and that life is too valuable to be interrupted by half-hearted returns. And let's flip the perspective for a moment. If you welcome him back too quickly, you communicate that his silence didn't matter, that he can disappear without consequence and still have full access to you. That kind of response doesn't inspire respect, it enables carelessness. But when you respond with calm boundaries, you communicate something far more attractive, that your life is full, that your time is precious, and that he has to show genuine commitment if he wants to be part of it. That energy commands respect, and respect is the foundation of lasting attraction. And think of the most confident people you know. Do they leap at every scrap of attention they get? No. They pause. They assess. They let others show who they are before investing deeply. That's the energy you must embody when he reappears. You don't need to play games or pretend you don't care. You simply need to let your actions reflect the truth. That you value yourself too much to be a revolving door for anyone. And then here's another layer to this. When he comes back, it's not just about him proving himself. It's about you noticing how you feel. Do you feel anxious the moment his name pops up on your phone, like you're afraid to lose him again? Do you feel anger bubbling up, reminding you of the hurt his silence caused? Or do you feel indifferent, realizing you no longer crave his presence like you once did? Your feelings are data. They are telling you whether this connection is worth revisiting. Sometimes his return is not a second chance for the relationship, but a second chance for you to choose differently this time. And do not underestimate the power of patience. When you don't rush to respond, when you don't jump at his first attempt, you create space for clarity. You give yourself time to see if he follows up, if he makes real effort, if his words are backed by consistency. And if they're not, you'll know without having sacrificed your dignity in the process. The best part? That patience also tells him something powerful, that your world does not stop spinning because of him. That you are not sitting by the phone waiting, that you are someone worth pursuing, not someone waiting to be collected at his convenience. And many women confuse strength with harshness. They think being strong means shutting him down immediately or lashing out. But true strength is grace under pressure. It's keeping your tone calm, your responses measured, and your boundaries firm. It's smiling, being polite, but never lowering your standard. That balance is magnetic. It leaves him wondering how to get closer, how to earn more of you, how to prove that he belongs in your life. And remember too that silence is a mirror. His silence reflected his priorities. Your response now reflects yours. If your priority is love, built on mutual respect, consistency, and effort, then every response you give must align with that. If he rises to meet it, you'll know he's serious. If he doesn't, you'll know it's time to move on. Either way, you're not left guessing, and you don't waste your energy on someone who isn't truly invested. And here's the ultimate perspective shift. His return is not about him, it's about you. It's about how far you've come since he went silent. It's about how much stronger you are now, how much clearer your standards are, how much more certain you are of your value. His silence was his choice, but your response now, that's your power. And in that power lies your freedom. And this is where the beauty of your growth shines through, because his silence gave you the chance to reconnect with yourself, to build a life that didn't revolve around waiting, to strengthen muscles of independence you may not have realized you had. So now when he comes back, you aren't the same woman he left behind. You're wiser, you're stronger, and you're far more aware of what you will and will not accept. That transformation is exactly why your response must come from a place of empowerment, not desperation. And think about what it really means when someone reappears after disappearing. It's almost like a test from life itself. Life is asking you, have you learnt to honor yourself, or will you abandon your growth at the first sign of attention? Every time you set a boundary, every time you resist the urge to rush back into his arms, you are proving to yourself that you've grown. This isn't just about him. It's about the standard you're cementing for every future relationship. You're telling the world, and more importantly yourself, this is who I am, and this is how I deserve to be treated. And that's why the most powerful response isn't always in your words, it's in your energy. A simple, polite reply delivered with calm detachment says more than a long paragraph ever could. It tells him, I'm not angry, I'm not bitter, but I also won't let you back into my world without showing me you've earned it. That energy is magnetic because it doesn't come from a place of need. It comes from a place of choice. You're not saying, please choose me. You're saying, I choose me, and now I'll see if you're worth choosing too. And when he notices that shift, it unsettles him in the best way. He realizes he doesn't hold the power anymore. You do. He can no longer just wander in and out of your life with ease. He has to step up, or he risks losing access to you completely. And here's the thing, men respect what they fear losing. If you respond in a way that shows you've been sitting around waiting, he feels no urgency. But if you respond in a way that shows you've built a full, thriving life without him, he feels the reality of what it means to lose you. And your responsibility is not to punish him, but to uphold the value you've worked so hard to recognize in yourself. That means observing his actions with clarity. Does he actually make plans with you? Does he follow through? Does he speak with consistency instead of disappearing again? Or does he rely on the comfort of knowing you'll always respond no matter what? When you respond from a place of strength, you force those questions to the surface. You don't give him easy access. You give him an opportunity to prove himself. And in that space, the truth always reveals itself. And you must remember that silence is a teacher. It taught you how resilient you are. It showed you what life looks like when someone inconsistent is absent. And maybe, just maybe, it reminded you that you deserve a love that doesn't leave you questioning, waiting, or doubting. When he comes back, your response must honor those lessons. To respond with instant forgiveness is to erase what the silence taught you. To respond with power is to prove that you've internalized the lesson and raised your bar. And some people will tell you to ignore him completely when he comes back. Others will tell you to welcome him with open arms. But the truth lies somewhere in between. You don't need to cut him off without a word unless that's truly what feels right for you. You also don't need to act like nothing happened. The middle ground is where your strength lives. You acknowledge him without giving him all of you. You let him show his intentions without rewarding inconsistency. You create a space where he either rises or falls, and you let his actions decide the outcome, not your dares. I to hold on to him. And when you operate from this mindset, everything changes. You're no longer asking, does he want me? You're asking, do I want him? You're no longer wondering, is he going to stay this time? You're thinking, is he capable of giving me the love I deserve? That reversal of perspective is the essence of empowerment. It removes the fear of losing him because you realize the only thing you risk losing is a man who's already shown he can be inconsistent. And that is no loss at all. And picture this moment as a fork in the road. One path leads you back to old patterns, overgiving, overlooking, over-explaining. The other path leads to a new standard, measured responses, higher boundaries, and deeper self-respect. Which path you take determines not just how this story plays out, but how every story that follows unfolds. Because once you prove to yourself that you can choose self-respect over instant gratification, you become unstoppable. You set the tone for every relationship that comes after. And when he comes back, watch his effort, watch his consistency. Watch whether he asks about your life, your goals, your growth during the time he was gone, or if he only talks about himself. Does he integrate himself back into your life with genuine interest, or does he expect things to pick up exactly where they left off? These observations are more important than anything he says. Words are easy. Consistency is rare. Your response gives him the space to show you which one he's offering. And here's a thought to hold on to. Not every man who comes back deserves a second chance. Sometimes his return is only a reminder of why you let go in the first place. But you'll never see that clearly if you rush to fill the silence with your longing. When you pause, when you respond with composure, you give yourself the gift of clarity, and clarity is far more valuable than the temporary comfort of his attention. And so don't fear his return, don't dread it. See it for what it is, an opportunity to stand tall in your worth, an opportunity to show yourself how much you've grown, an opportunity to set a precedent for what love should look like in your life. Your response doesn't just speak to him, it speaks to you. It tells you whether you are living by your standards or bending them. And every time you choose strength, you reinforce the truth that you are not just someone waiting to be chosen. You are someone doing the choosing. And that's the woman he'll have to work for. That's the woman who commands respect. That's the woman who no longer fears silence or return, because she knows that her life, her value, and her happiness were never dependent on anyone else to begin with. And then here's something powerful to recognize. His return isn't always about you. Sometimes it's about him. People come back not because they suddenly discovered your worth, you had that all along, but because something shifted in their world. Maybe he felt lonely. Maybe he realized that the excitement elsewhere wasn't fulfilling. Maybe he missed the comfort you brought. Whatever the reason, it doesn't automatically mean he's now capable of giving you the love you deserve. That's why your role isn't to get swept up in the drama of his return, but to step back and ask, is this man showing me change, or is he simply showing me convenience? And when someone comes back after silence, their actions must align with the reality of your worth. You are not a safety net, not a fallback plan, not the place he comes to recharge when life doesn't go as planned. You are the main event. You are the person who should be chosen intentionally, consistently, and proudly. If his return feels half-hearted, if his words lack follow-through, if his energy feels like a recycled pattern, then your strength is in recognizing it early. Because the sooner you see that he hasn't changed, the sooner you free yourself to welcome someone who has what it takes to love you properly. And too many women hand out second chances like candy, thinking that to deny someone a place back in their lives is harsh. But second chances are not a right, they are a privilege, earned only through effort and evidence of growth. If you give him instant access after silence, you rob yourself of the chance to see if he's truly worthy of being back in your life. By slowing down, by observing, by keeping your standards high, you create a space where he must prove his sincerity. And if he doesn't rise to that challenge, then you already have your answer. And imagine your love as a kingdom. When he left, he walked out of the gates. And now he stands outside asking to come back in. Do you open the doors immediately, or do you first see if he's worthy of re-entering the kingdom? Does he come with respect, ready to contribute, ready to protect what's valuable inside those walls? Or does he show up empty-handed, expecting access simply because he once knew the way in? The kingdom is your heart, your time, your energy, your peace. Guard it, protect it, because the right person will never mind proving that they deserve to be inside. And it's tempting to romanticize his return, to think of it as fate, destiny, or the universe aligning. But destiny is not proven by someone showing up once. It's proven by someone showing up again and again. The love that lasts isn't about dramatic exits and sudden comebacks. It's about presence, consistency, and the reliability of knowing someone is there through the highs and lows. So don't confuse the thrill of his reappearance with the reality of lasting love. The thrill fades quickly. What stays is how someone treats you day in and day out. And you must also look within yourself in these moments. Ask, what part of me is tempted to accept him back without question? Is it the fear of being alone? Is it the comfort of familiarity? Is it the hope that maybe this time things will be different? Be honest with yourself, because when you understand your own motives, you stop being controlled by them. If you discover that the only reason you want to let him back in is fear or longing, then you know it's not love guiding you, it's attachment. And attachment without respect always leads to pain. And there's nothing more magnetic than a woman who chooses herself, a woman who doesn't bend her boundaries just because someone reappeared, a woman who listens to her emotions but doesn't let them control her decisions. That woman creates an energy that makes men step up, not because she demands it with anger, but because she embodies it with quiet strength. When you respond to his return with grace, patience, and firmness, you show that you are not desperate, not waiting, not fragile. You are powerful, and that is the kind of energy that separates a queen from everyone else. And here's a secret many overlook. Sometimes his silence wasn't even about you. It was about his own insecurities, his own distractions, his inability to handle connection. And now his return is also not about you. It's about him trying to soothe whatever emptiness he feels. That's why your role isn't to rush in and heal him. Your role is to stand in your worth and let him show you if he's capable of meeting your needs. You don't fix him. You don't rescue him. You don't shrink yourself to make it easier for him to stay. You simply remain grounded in your value. And if he can rise, wonderful. If not, you walk forward without hesitation. And think about this. When you respond with calm strength, you give yourself leverage. You take control of the narrative. Instead of him dictating the pace, disappearing ways, he wants, returning when he feels like it, you become the one deciding whether or not he even gets a second chance. That shift in power is everything. Because once you realize that you are the chooser, not the chosen, you'll never again feel anxious about someone leaving or coming back. You'll know that their actions don't define your worth. They simply reveal theirs. And when he reappears, don't rush to fill the silence with explanations or questions. Don't ask, "Why did you go quiet?" or "Where have you been?" right away. Let him reveal it. If he's serious, he'll offer the explanation himself. If he's genuine, he'll want to make amends without you having to drag it out of him. And if he doesn't, that tells you everything you need to know. Silence, once again, becomes a teacher. You just have to be willing to listen. And do not underestimate how powerful it is to slow down, to take your time, to let him do the work, to let him prove, not promise. Anyone can say, "I missed you." Anyone can say, "I want you back." But not everyone is willing to show it consistently over time. Your job is to sit in your strength long enough to see which one he is, because only time reveals the truth. And then while you're watching him, don't forget to keep living. Don't put your life on hold, waiting for his next move. Keep building, keep thriving, keep surrounding yourself with people who value you without hesitation. Because the more full your life becomes, the less tempting it is to settle for someone who only shows up halfway. You won't be swayed by breadcrumbs when you've already created a banquet of joy, purpose, and self-respect within yourself. And so when he comes back, let your silence speak as loudly as his once did. Let your boundaries echo the truth that you are no longer available for inconsistency. Let your standards remind him and remind yourself that love is not proven by leaving and returning. Love is proven by staying. And if he cannot stay, then you will